Reasonable people could come down on either side of this. They could either say that Ms. Good was driving dangerously and the officer believed his life was in danger and that he had to shoot to defend himself. Or you could say he created the danger himself and therefore he has no right to shoot his way out of it. That's reasonable people who've only casually looked at the videos. A reasonable person who's only just heard about it and seen maybe a clip or two could also conclude that she tried to run him over. But no one who looks at these videos objectively and seriously can conclude that she was trying to run him over. And any government official who's saying that she was is lying. They were being totally obnoxious all day long, but they were not trying to kill anybody. They were just trying to obstruct the operation of the ICE agents. And if all the agents did was stop and arrest them in an appropriate manner, we wouldn't be talking about this. You can see here, this is where he was when the vehicle started to move. He's got a significant amount of space between himself and the vehicle. All he's got to do is keep walking to the right and everybody's fine. Remember, he's created this danger for himself. He's not supposed to be walking in front of a running and moving vehicle, but he's doing it anyway because he's disregarding his training or he's just an incompetent traffic cop. And people will say, well, he's not a traffic cop. Okay, but he still has the Homeland Security policy not to do this, which if he didn't know it, that's his own fault. That's the policy that he signed and agreed to. You can also see here that even though the vehicle has already started to move, he's not looking at the vehicle, he's looking at his phone. Meanwhile, the other agent is coming in from the side. Another thing they're not supposed to do. You come straight towards the driver's door from the side, you don't know if that driver has a gun. They can just pull a gun and shoot the officer. So the officers are trained to come up from the back and up the side. But that's not what these guys do. They're also trained to try to de-escalate the situation, not escalate it. But they don't do that either. Instead, they run up to the car, yelling at her and cursing at her. As they're approaching, you can see that she puts the vehicle into reverse. The backup lights clearly come on. You can say, well, they couldn't see that from where they were. Well, that's their own fault because they approached the vehicle the wrong way. So you can see as the agent gets there, she starts to move back. It's really hard to see whether he touches the vehicle before it starts to move or after. But either way, he lets go and then he grabs it again, clearly after it has started to move. And then after it starts to go forward, he's still grabbing it. He easily could have let go, which is what he should have done to try to be safe. So this is another case of an officer creating his own danger. When the actual collision between the vehicle and the agent occurs, you can see that her wheels are already turned to the right. This is why anyone who says that she was trying to run him over is lying or delusional or just hasn't looked at the videos. Here you can see she takes it out of reverse as the backup lights go off. Inexplicably at this point, Agent Ross stops right in front of a running, moving vehicle. Completely opposed to his training. All he's got to do is take one or two more steps to the right and he's perfectly safe. Almost simultaneously, as the vehicle begins to move forward, he's already drawing his gun instead of resuming his trip to the right where he would be perfectly safe. Meanwhile, Ms. Good is hearing "Drive, Baby, Drive" from her friend. As incompetent as the agents are, she is also incompetent as an obstructor because she's doing something here that gets her, basically she gets her partner killed. So hearing "Drive, Baby, Drive" and probably believing the officer is going to continue walking to the right, she puts it in drive and she hits the gas. The left front wheel does spin a little bit. That's to be expected in an all-wheel drive vehicle on ice, that it will continue to have good traction despite one wheel spinning. That's what all-wheel drive is for. It's perfectly understandable that this made the agent afraid. However, He created the danger himself by not following the procedures. Even still, the human instinct at this point would be to quickly dash off to the right to get away from the moving vehicle. But that's not what he does. He plants himself there and pulls his gun. When the collision occurs, he leans back over the vehicle. He kind of leans in, which is understandable because he's getting pushed, and shoots through the windshield. That's the one that has the best chance of being seen as justified. Then you see him recover from the collision. And you see him push his arm forward as he shoots. There's definitely some poor driving here from Ms. Good. She should have turned her wheel all the way to the right before she started going. So that's an error on her part. But that's an easy error to make, something that we all do in undangerous situations all the time. It's not an indication she was trying to run him over. That's just absolutely absurd. Now, is it possible that he believed she was trying to run him over? Yes, that's definitely a possibility, based on the trajectory of where the vehicle was coming. But again, this dangerous situation was created by the officer himself.